This is a battle cry for the American way of life and a relentless pursuit of truth and justice. It comes from a voice with unmatched experience and unyielding resolve. Join us as we dissect current events and tip the scales in your favor. This is Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
This is Bryan Rudnick, Rally for the Republic, and I'm here today with Autry J. Pruitt, a great American, a patriot, a friend of mine, who has an amazing smile. You should see all his other interviews on TV to know what I'm talking about. But most importantly, I have him here today in his capacity as chairman of New Journey Pac, a political action committee. He is an accomplished businessman and author of a book, Plain Steak and Water, Defending Donald J. Trump. I've asked him to come address, which we'd hoped to do a few days earlier, the comments made in the debate by Joe Biden and Donald Trump related to the African-American voters in America and what's going on, as well as the 2024 election. So, Autry, thank you for joining Rally for the Republic today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be on board.
I think it's important for people to realize that you're proof of the American dream. You grew up in Detroit, as I recall.
No, Battle Creek, Michigan, south of Detroit. Humble beginnings. We lived with my grandmother, from what I can remember. And then after that, we moved to another neighborhood because my mom wanted us to be in a better school system. She wanted us to have a better life. And so we moved to this other neighborhood, had the worst house on the block for a very long time. And my mom went to work every day and fed, to feed me and my sisters.
And today you live here in South Florida.
Today I live in South Florida, and it's unbelievable. The stuff I'm able to do. I've been in 6 to 8 countries. I've done things and owned things and had things that I never even didn't even know existed then and never would have dreamed of it. Truly, it's an American dream. I've achieved it.
So if you buck the Democrat Party, you can succeed in America?
You're more likely to succeed if you buck the Democrat Party. That's the way it works out.
Okay. So let's get into it. Rally for the Republic listeners want to know, as chairman of New Journey Pac, political action committee that is dedicated to outreach to Black voters in America. What is the number one problem facing our republic today?
Oh, the number one problem facing the republic today is the onslaught of the transgender movement. By far. It's the problem that faces the Black community, white community, Hispanic communities. It's the continual press by the Democrat Party to turn your boys into girls and your girls into boys.
And why is that a daily threat to Black voters?
It's a daily threat because at the very fundamental level, you have to have a family. God, family, country. You cannot have a country if you don't have a family, and you can't have a family if you don't reproduce, right? I have an adopted daughter. Adoptions are great. I believe in them. But fundamentally, adoption means a man and a woman coming together, having intercourse together, and birthing children together and remaining together. And the Democrats' effort to destroy that means they will destroy the family and then destroy the country, which they've known this. They've known this. They've planned it for years. They've known it.
Goes back to the early part of the 20th century and was even documented a bit by people like Daniel Patrick Moynihan in his reports.
Daniel Patrick Moynihan, exactly. It was documented by him. The book Sexual Personae, Camellia talks about this. Even Democrats on the left have talked about this, how this was that you couldn't destroy the family. Every society knows this. If you look at any society, they know that the family is the building block to a community, to a culture, to a society. And if you destroy it, then you no longer will have a country. They don't want, and when I say they, let me be clear, Joe Biden and the Democrats do not want us to have a country anymore. They couldn't destroy it, so now they're coming after our families. That is the biggest threat to the Republic at this time.
So, as a Black American, who I assume is a registered Republican.
Yes, I am.
You probably get the question like I do as a Jewish American, why aren't more Jews Republicans? So I'm sure you get the question and you try to answer through New Journey, why aren't more Black Americans Republican?
Well, there's two answers. The first answer is because Republicans are foolish and don't ask for the vote. It's amazing to me how many Republicans don't go into a Black neighborhood, into Black businesses, among Black leaders and say, hey, I want to talk to you. I want your vote. That's one of the main reasons. And then the second reason is the onslaught of social media now, the onslaught of media, the lies that are pushed into a community of victimization. In other words, let me be very clear, the legacy media wants to push a narrative that we don't have, we meaning Black Americans don't have because some other Americans with lighter pigmentation does have. There is enough wealth, money, land, power, houses, cars. There's enough to go around. That's not the reason that certain communities don't have because somebody else with pigment. That's the push. That's the lie. Those are the two main reasons. The lie by the legacy media and if we could, well, there's many, many other reasons, Brian, many other reasons, but those are the top two. I'll stop there. Top two.
When you're out and your organization is out interacting in these communities, trying to persuade Black voters to join the Republican Party, to vote for Donald Trump, to vote for other Republican candidates. What is the message you're sharing with them?
The message we firstly share is the first thing when we want to go to a voter's house is what is it that you want? We actually don't share messages. We actually spend our time listening. That's a problem with politicians in general, no matter what community they're in. They don't spend their time actually listening. So when I go out and I'm trying to persuade someone to vote, I want to say, what is it that you want? And 9 times out of 10, what they want is what Republicans want, is what conservatives want. And if you pull out a piece of paper, they're not going to say they want a climate change agenda. They're not going to say, oh, go ahead and give my little boy permission to chop off the stuff between his legs. Go ahead and give my little girl permission. The Democrats have girls taping their breasts down to their chest. What parent in general, but we're talking about Black folks now, what Black parent wants that? None. So when you go to a community, you ask them, what is it that you want and what is it that you don't want? And then take the Democrat platform and put it up against the list.
Kamala Harris was at the BET Awards about a week or so ago, did a whole skit there with an entertainer and made it abundantly clear that the number one issue she is tackling as vice president of the United States is abortion. Well, obviously she was talking to Black America. She was trying to get the attention of Black voters. Is that really what Black voters care about? Is abortion really that important?
No, most Black voters care about money in their pockets. They care about the economy. They care about being able to feed the kids that they do have, not to kill the kids that they don't have.
So they're like every other American.
Yeah, they're like every other American. It's the old joke is, what do you call a Black astronaut? An astronaut. It's the same thing, right? That's the old joke. Just say hi. Black folks care about the same stuff that white. This is not 1810. And Kamala Harris is placating. Well, my point is the Democrats
or
Jamaican. That's right. Yeah, because she would go like Hillary. She would go in and out of a Jamaican accent with reggae. That my point is the Democrats shift. If you have dark pigmentation, they want to float. Next week she'll be Hispanic. She'll be speaking "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" Anyway, go ahead. I apologize.
So the Democrats bring up and they want to confuse voters into thinking they care about issues that they don't really care about.
That's correct.
We've seen that in the Jewish community, and when they're trying to keep Jews stuck to the Democratic Party with the anti-Semites in their party. Joe Biden has the history of racism.
Yeah, they don't care about it. Even the thing now dealing with President Biden and his age. Democrats before said, no, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with his age. He's great. If you talk about his age, you're an ageist, you're an elderist or senior citizen hater or whatever the case. Now, all of a sudden, Paul Krugman, did you notice that? Paul Krugman now is out saying, oh, Joe Biden's too old. When before he was...
The New York Times was the first to throw him overboard.
Yeah, and when they were the first ones before defending him. The Democrats just have they shift with not even with the win. They just shift when a person walks by.
So a couple of recent news stories that I saw out there affecting Black America and Black voters, I'd love to get your feedback on. First was the media reporting that there are Black farmers who are outraged at Tractor Supply Store for canceling its DEI program. Now, I don't know if that meant they got extra discounts or not, but does that sound like that's something Black America?
I need to talk to each of those people individually. I highly doubt that Black farmers were upset about the DEI program. I highly doubt even farmers wanted the DEI program.
Or were they more concerned with making sure their crops grow?
They're more concerned about making sure their crops go. The only way they'd be upset is if, like you said, if there was some type of money attached to it where they were getting free money. Okay, then should you have free money? No, but you could get why they'd be upset. Other than that, no. This is all, I bet you the people who wrote that story haven't even stepped on a farm in their life. The Democrats, if nothing else, are lazy. But anyway, please continue.
So the Pew Center is predicting that black voters will make up about 14% of the electorate this year.
14% of the electorate. I think they make up a little bit more than that. Of the voting electorate, no, you're probably right. Because sitting at 12.5 to 13% of the population, they usually outside votes. You're probably right.
And even before the debate, the debate over whose golf swing and golf game is better.
Yeah,
and hearing about black
debate on substance.
Right. So obviously there was a lot of talk Joe Biden was losing black support. Yeah. What do you attribute that to?
You are listening to Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
Obviously, there was a lot of talk Joe Biden was losing black support. Yeah. What do you attribute that to?
I attribute the fact that Joe Biden is losing the black vote because he was born somewhere around the beginning of slavery. That's what I attribute it to. He's ancient. He doesn't remember remember the story where he says, I got in the pool and the little black girls would come and rub my blonde legs up and down. And then he told the story about Corn Pop, the black guy with a chain, and Corn Pop was going to cut him. No. Corn Pop had a knife, and then Joe Biden got a chain. Come on, Joe Biden has been a racist his entire life. And now he's got dementia, so he's no longer a racist.
So even getting Cardi B support, you don't think can change that?
No. Please, Cardi B ended up supporting him?
She supported him last time. Think she's supporting him again this time?
I hope not. Cardi B, you can do better than that. I mean, WAP for God's sake.
So is...
Look that up. If you guys don't know what that is, we won't say it. Look that up. At least I won't say it.
Is Trump actually gaining these voters that Biden is losing?
I don't know. I don't think Trump is gaining them. I actually think Trump is snatching them away. Right? I actually don't think Biden is really losing them so much as Trump is taking them. 6 of one, half dozen the other.
And I know some black leaders have said Trump's been in their communities in the hood a whole lot more than Biden has.
Yeah. Some of that, honestly, some of it was because Trump was forced to. He was stuck in New York doing the ridiculous trials, and so he was forced to. But listen, before Trump ran for office, no one ever called him racist. Trump was one of the celebrities that was mentioned most in black rap, black hip hop, and black R&B songs, more than anyone else. And so until he ran as a Republican, Trump was never a racist. He was palling around with Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, Oprah. He'd been on Oprah 2 or 3 times.
Front page of the Palm Beach Post this weekend was all about his longstanding friendship with Don King.
Yeah. I mean, Trump has never been a racist. Trump has been Donald Trump. That's what he's been. He's been Donald Trump, always not saying things the most artfully, and as it's gotten older, it's gotten more brash. At the end of the day, I feel that Joe Biden's the black voters are running away from Joe Biden because they care about their money and they care about their lives. They care about inflation. They care about high gas prices. They care about the fact that Joe Biden snatches away jobs just because he feels that it hurts the climate.
Has Trump gained votes for being a convict now?
No, Trump hasn't gained votes for being a convict. That's one thing that Republicans need to stop. They come out with Trump's black people are running to vote for a convict. No, Trump, if anything, Trump gained votes because of a system that was targeting him. And so when some African Americans say, wait a second, I live in some neighborhoods where they pull over all the poor people in the poor cars because they know that we don't have lawyers to fight, but the other people they won't pull over. If anything, he's gained votes for that. But Trump didn't gain votes because he's a convict. He's gained attention because he's not a convict, I should say, because he was convicted. He's gained attention because he was convicted. He's gaining votes because people are tired of being broke, busted, and disgusted, Brian.
Well, I think the Rally for the Republic listeners appreciate this approach, but now they want to know the answer that's been on every American's mind who was forced to watch that debate.
Yeah.
What are black jobs?
That's a good point. Black jobs are, wait for it, jobs. That's what a black job is. A job.
I thought Trump might have explained it more as the service industry jobs.
He's
you didn't go to the elite schools like some of my friends. there's jobs that most Americans have to take to get by.
What's crazy, yeah, right. What's crazy, I think, with Trump has some very inartful tactics, but let's be real. He is saying what everybody else, even on the other side, how they think, right? So Biden thinks about black jobs. He can't even formulate the sentence to say the word black jobs, so I guess he doesn't say it. So when people think about black jobs, they're thinking about, okay, they're thinking about maybe blue collar jobs or very entry service jobs or maybe very entry government jobs. But now it's changed. I mean, I would encourage Rally for Republic listeners, if you've never seen an edition of Black Enterprise magazine, I don't know if they have the paper copy anymore, but go and look at the website, Black Enterprise, and just look at the number of Black entrepreneurial small business owners. By the way, if you are a Republican and you're running in a district that's 10% or more African Americans, you should focus on the small business owners. That's where it is. There's a guy named Robert Blackwell in Chicago, I think he's worth a couple $100 million. He talks about this. That's the way for Republicans to win Black vote. Trump is showing it. Winning the Black vote, go for the small business owners.
You run an organization, New Journey Pac, that's dedicated. You got donors who are funding you to do outreach to Black voters.
Yeah.
You've got donors funding you to do outreach to help Black candidates get elected. I know in the past you've supported people like Winsome Sears and John James and others around the country and Byron Donalds. Who else are you working with or trying to help get elected this cycle?
Oh, well, we're working. We're obviously working to help. Most of our efforts is really coordinated in helping Trump get elected this cycle. That's where most of it is concentrated. We haven't really come out with our list yet. We will probably after the Florida primary. We're taking a look. And by the way, we don't always support Black candidates. We support any candidates, support Black issues. Your candidate that you're helping is on the list, He's on a list, a very strong candidate, former Democrat, Robert. He's a former Democrat, a real conservative, common sense guy, and I think his policies can resonate well with Black people. Just because you're a Black candidate doesn't necessarily mean that your policies and what you do and how you act are best for Black people. And sometimes there's a confusion there. Byron Donalds has talked about this a great deal. It's about finding the candidate who's best for the community that you're serving. Hopefully it could be a Black candidate, but it always isn't a Black candidate because just like white candidates, you have Black candidates that are selfish, egotistical, in it for themselves, don't know their blank from their blank. So you've got to look at each candidate individually. A good example of this is Paul Vallas. Let's go out to Illinois. Paul Vallas ran against Lori Lightfoot and Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson is now the current mayor, the Black guy who's the mayor. The socialist. 100 people shot during July 4th, 19 or 20 people killed. Paul Vallas was a white guy. He's a Democrat, but I tried to support him and tried to help him get elected out there. He didn't listen to me much, but he should have, but I tried to. And the reason was because Brandon and Lori Lightfoot's policies, and oftentimes this is true, for elite Black Democrats, their policies are for white liberals. Elite Black Democrat policies are for white liberals. When you see Kamala Harris out and about, her policies are for white liberals. They're not for Black people. They're not even for poor white people, right? So it's the same thing. I mean,
it's like, I think, didn't Donald Trump once say you should send in the National Guard to Chicago to get rid of the gun problem?
Yeah. And they say, oh, no, you can't do that. He should have done that, by the way. I argued that he should fly Air Force One right down there and put the National Guard in. I really believe that. So it's about, and now the veil is off. I have a mixed family, and the veil is off now. People are now Black people are no longer going to be handcuffed and tied just because you have dark pigmentation. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, listen, they had a moment in time in the 60s that they did a lot of good. People don't want to hear it, but they did. They gave voice to people that didn't have a voice. But they turned that from giving a voice into a big, huge grift and a money-making scheme. And Black people are on to that now. They're like, wait a second, why is it all the elite Blacks elected to Congress have the cars and the houses and the watches and their stock portfolios grow to huge numbers, right?
And we saw what happened with BLM.
Imagine, take Jamal Bowman. Imagine if you were a Black kid at 14 years old and pulled a fire alarm in high school. could you keep your salary and go back to school and be okay and everything's be fine? Oh, it's not a problem. You're good to go. They'd probably kick you out of school.
Would have ruined your life.
Yeah, it would. But Jamal Bowman is, I mean, he lost his election, but that's okay because one of his white liberal friends will employ him in some $1 million to $2 million a year job.
You are listening to Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
Your organization has
Yeah.
played a heavy role in some states. Last cycle, we had the Senate race in Georgia
Yeah.
and the special election in Georgia.
Yeah. Oh,
You guys had a heavy hand in trying to move the vote there.
Yeah.
What did you learn from trying to persuade voters to vote Republican, especially in the Black community?
Yeah.
Outside of what we've already
You
talked
need to
about.
do it one-on-one. You need to be one-on-one. You need to go to a house. You need to talk. You need to sit down and shake a hand. It's very adage. You've heard the old adage of, it's very true, the old adage. People want to vote for someone who they have a beer with. That's just someone they could talk to. That's so true. Raphael Warnock, the pastor of Ebenezer, I believe, Baptist Church out there, I've met him before. I've met him a couple times. I met him in New York, I believe, at Columbia Theological years ago. But he is personable. He sits down and he laughs. He sits down and he's talking. What I have found is that that's the number one requirement. You've got to go and meet people where they are. You can't expect them to have a message and come to you, especially if you've never been in the community before. And this is true. By the way, this is just true politically in general, but particularly for Black voters. That's one thing I learned. And then the second thing I learned was you need to find the small business owners. The Black small business owners, a lot of them are highly sensitive and highly aware of the conservative positions, and they agree with it. And you got to give them a permission structure to come to the Republican side.
On behalf of the Rally for the Republic listeners, I thank you for your insights today, but I'm not letting you leave just yet.
Okay.
No, I got two more questions. I think we'd love your insights on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Congressman Byron Donalds a few weeks ago was asked about how the Black vote was perceiving the presidential election.
Yeah.
This was, I believe, pre-debate.
Yes.
And he has now predicted that 25% of the Black voters will vote for Trump. In prior elections, I know with the work you did helped to get Trump close to 20% or more of the vote. Do you think Byron Donalds is right with his numbers, or do you think organizations like yours now with the current news cycle and Joe Biden's demise that's now well established and accepted, do you think you can really move that number even farther?
I think it could get to as high as 30%. The problem is this. You still don't have a permission structure for Black people to be willing to say it publicly. I think that's the problem. We don't really know the numbers. I even thought last time Trump was at probably 20%, and now he should be at 30%. But the problem is, I don't know if you can get half of Black people to admit it. We got to find a way, and that's the key. We got to find a way through community leaders, influencers, to somehow, and I hate to use that term for a third time in a row, give a permission structure for Black people to say it's okay. It's slowly there. Morgan Freeman has talked a little bit. Lil Wayne has talked a little bit about it, but more than just celebrities like that, because big time celebrities are great. You really need local celebrities, local moms and dad, local people that are willing to say, listen, I'm not saying Trump is the best, but I'm going, that's where I'm going to vote. Once
You need those
see that,
community leaders to come out like you do in any other race.
It's the same as the other race. You really do. I mean, people always, it's so funny because the Democrats do this and the Republicans the Democrats go and find all their celebrities, and then the Republicans want to go find their Black celebrities. If I was the Republicans, I wouldn't even concentrate on any celebrity. I would concentrate at the very low level, the local community leaders, the local guy that owns a salon, a barber shop, the local barber. He needs to own it. If he's a barber and he's friendly and he's talking, he says, yeah, man, I think Trump might be where he's at. I mean, I would really concentrate on those local influencers that have spheres of 15 to 20 people, because that will have a domino effect much more rapidly.
So as we sit here right now, I think Donald Trump is moments away from taking the stage in Doral, Florida. and there's suspense around it as to whether or not his nominee selection for vice president is going to be there with him today. And obviously Byron Donalds has been thrown about. Marco Rubio here in Florida has been thrown about, which gives some good reason for people to wonder about Doral. And now if Byron Donalds is selected, is that going to move enough of the black vote to get to that 30% or more? Is that really going to matter?
I don't think it's going to matter, to be honest with you. Trump is such a... First of all, black people aren't voting monolithic because Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds is a great guy. He has an understanding of black voters, but he ran and won in white districts. I mean, come on. Is there some movement? I'm sure there's some movement. Byron Donalds is a young guy. I don't think that's the case. I think, honestly, she wouldn't do it, but man, and she's probably too old, but Condoleezza Rice, if he would have selected her, that could have made a difference because even black people who disagree with Republicans, she is a huge, serious person. Byron Donalds is amazing. He's an amazing guy. I don't know if he has a national profile to move a vote. I just don't think he has that.
He may not have the notoriety just yet.
No, he doesn't have the notoriety. And to say, he's got black skin, people want to vote for him. Is that, that ship has sailed. Obama got that trip. Now everybody's like, okay, we cast the lever for you. That's not happening again.
So somebody who's about to hit his midlife crisis with his birthday coming up. You're a man who has lived the American dream. You're an up from the bootstraps kind of American. You're not just an African American.
Yeah.
You're a true American who's lived the American dream.
I love this country.
And you love this country, thankfully. Yeah. And therefore, you've been fighting to help other Americans benefit.
Yeah.
What kind of advice could you give to people, whether it's about how to achieve the American dream, or even now that you've had this experience in politics, not just your business experience, what wisdom would you impart to people? Even if you want to limit it to just getting involved politically.
Well, I was going to say this. I'll give you two answers. The first answer I'm going to give you is a life answer. The biggest person we ever try to fool in our lives is ourselves. Whether it's about our job, our capabilities, our money, our love, our children, don't lie to yourself. And it sucks. When you actually have a sobering conversation with yourself, it allows you to take that next step. And a lot of people, they can't move to the next level, not because of their spouse, because of their children, because they're too broke, they can't move to the next level because they're not honest to themselves about who they are, what they need. That's something, by the way, I've learned in marriage. If you're going to get married or if you're newly married, you need to be honest. You'll never can be honest with your spouse unless you're honest with yourself. Politically, what would be my advice? Make your money first. Don't come into politics broke. Don't go into politics poor. Because what happens is your incentives get misaligned. And you will then have to make a choice between making money from eating or from doing what's right. And so stay in business, make your money, and then move to politics.
Great advice. Thank you. Appreciate you being here on the 15th episode of Rally for the Republic. Wow. And hopefully my listeners will feel this was as special an episode as I believe it to be.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Autry Pruitt, Chairman, New Journey Pac.
Thank you for joining us on Rally for the Republic, where we are fighting for America's future. Visit 1776coalition.com. Rally for the Republic podcast is available on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and download. Join Bryan Rudnick next time as we continue to fight for the American way of life and challenge the hypocrisy. This is Rally for the Republic.